the monk who carried stones. High in the folds of the mountains, where clouds moved like lost pilgrims and time seemed to breathe instead of tick, stood an old monastery made of stone darker than rain. It was not grand. No gold domes. No towering gates. Just rough walls, a bell that rang only when needed, and silence that felt heavier than words. People called it Hollow Ridge Monastery, the monastery of emptiness. Yet those who stayed there said it was the fullest place they had ever known. Among the monks lived an old man named Brother Elias. No one knew how long he had been there. Some said 40 years. Some said more. He had no title, no disciples of his own, and no interest in being remembered. He swept the same courtyard every morning, fetched water from the same well, and carried stones from one end of the monastery to the other every afternoon. Yes, stones. Every day without fail after the midday meal, Elias would lift a basket of stones and walk slowly across the courtyard, place them near the far wall, bow once and return empty-handed. The next morning the stones would somehow be back where they started. The younger monks whispered, "Why does he do that? Is it some secret meditation? Has he lost his mind?" One day a new seeker arrived. His name was Daniel. Daniel was not like the others who came quietly, heads bowed, eyes tired from too much life. Daniel walked in with straight shoulders and restless eyes. He was strong, educated, ambitious, and deeply angry. Angry at failure. Angry at injustice. Angry at himself. He had trained hard, worked harder, believed in discipline and effort. Yet life had refused to bend. Business failed. Trust broke. People he helped forgot his name. People he ignored succeeded. He came to the monastery not for peace but for answers. The head monk welcomed him, gave him simple robes and assigned him chores. Daniel followed the rules, but inside, his mind ran like a clenched fist. On the third day he noticed the old monk with the stones. Daniel watched Elias lift the basket slowly, his back straight, breath steady, step by step. No hurry. No pride. That evening Daniel finally asked, "Brother," he said, trying to sound respectful, "why do you carry stones every day only to bring them back again?" Elias looked at him for a long moment, then smiled. "Why do you lift weights at the gym only to put them down again?" he asked. Daniel blinked. "That's different," Daniel said. "That builds strength." Elias nodded. "So do the stones." "But what strength?" Daniel pressed. "Nothing changes." Elias picked up a pebble from the ground and placed it in Daniel's palm. "Tell me," he said softly, "does the river change the mountain in one day?" "No." "Does the mountain resist the river?" "No." Yet one day, Elias said, closing Daniel's fingers around the pebble, "The mountain becomes sand." Daniel frowned. "I don't want riddles. I want truth." Elias's smile faded. "Then stay," he said, "and watch." The weight of wanting. Days turned into weeks. Daniel trained his body in the monastery courtyard at dawn, push-ups, squats, breath control. He worked harder than anyone else. He meditated longer. He followed every rule with military precision. Yet peace did not come. Instead, frustration grew. Why was silence so loud? Why did his thoughts refuse to obey? Why did effort not guarantee results? One afternoon, after meditation, Daniel exploded. "What is the point of all this?" he demanded before the gathered monks. "We eat, we sweep, we sit, we breathe. Life is passing and we do nothing." The courtyard went quiet. Elias was sweeping nearby. He leaned on his broom and said gently, "Come with me." They walked beyond the monastery walls, down a narrow path to a clearing where a dry tree stood, cracked, leafless, dead. Elias stopped. "Push it," he said. Daniel frowned. "What?" "Push the tree." Daniel shrugged and pushed. The tree did not move. "Harder." Daniel strained, muscles flexed, breath sharp, but the tree remained rooted. Elias nodded. "Now stop." Daniel stepped back, irritated. "See, effort means nothing without results." Elias picked up a small metal tool and began scraping the soil around the tree, slowly, patiently. "What are you doing?" Daniel asked. "Preparing." "For what?" Elias looked up. "For effort to matter." Days later they returned with water and compost. Weeks later, small green shoots appeared at the base of the tree. Daniel stared. "You didn't force it," he said quietly. Elias smiled. "Force breaks. Patience feeds." The lesson of the broken bowl. One night, Daniel was assigned kitchen duty with Elias. As they worked, Daniel accidentally dropped a clay bowl. It shattered. "I'm sorry," Daniel said quickly. "I'll clean it." Elias looked at the broken pieces on the floor. "Pick one," he said. Daniel picked up a shard. "Can you make it whole again?" Elias asked. "No." "Then why are you apologizing to the past?" Daniel froze. Elias swept the shards into a basket. "Guilt," he continued, "is carrying broken bowls in your mind, hoping they will heal." Daniel swallowed. Memories rose, failures, words spoken in anger, people lost. "What should I do instead?" he asked. Elias placed a new bowl in his hands. "Hold today carefully. The storm and the bell." One evening, a violent storm struck the mountains. Wind howled. Rain lashed. Thunder cracked the sky open. The monastery bell began ringing wildly, shaken by the wind. The younger monks rushed out, panicked. "The bell rope will snap. Should we tie it down?" Elias stood still, watching the bell swing. "No," he said calmly. "Let it ring." "But it's chaos." Elias turned to Daniel. "Listen." Daniel listened past the noise, to the rhythm. The bell rang wildly at first, then slower, then steadier. Eventually the storm passed. Elias said, "Your mind is the bell. Life is the storm. If you try to silence it, you fight the wind. If you let it ring, it finds its own rhythm." Daniel felt something loosen in his chest. The truth about strength. Months passed. Daniel noticed changes, not dramatic, not loud. He reacted slower to insults. He listened more. He slept deeper. One afternoon, while carrying stones with Elias, Daniel asked, "Brother, when will I be ready to leave?" Elias stopped walking. "Why do you want to leave?" "To live. To achieve. To become something." Elias gently set the basket down. "Tell me," he said, "who are you when no one is watching?" Daniel opened his mouth and realized he didn't know. Elias nodded. "That is why you are here." The final lesson. Years later, Daniel stood at the monastery gate with a small bag. His posture was calm now, his eyes steady. Elias came to see him off. "I think I understand," Daniel said. "The stones, the tree, the bell. It was never about control." Elias smiled. "What was it about?" "About showing up," Daniel said. "Every day, without demanding proof." Elias placed a stone in Daniel's bag. "Carry this," he said. "Why?" "So you remember," Elias replied, "that strength is not loud, peace is not passive, and discipline is love in action." As Daniel walked down the mountain path, he realized something strange. The stone felt light. Epilogue. Years later, travelers spoke of a man who ran a small training hall in the city. He taught strength, discipline, and stillness. He never shouted, never showed off. When asked the secret of his calm power, he would smile and say, "I once carried stones with a monk who taught me how to carry myself." And somewhere in the quiet mountains, an old monk swept the same courtyard, empty, full, and perfectly still.